Welcome to the Superbold podcast. I'm Fred Joyle, and in this episode, I talk to Sanyika Street, who happens to be my personal coach. He is a business coach, an executive coach, and he coaches primarily men on creating their authentic selves and achieving their true dreams in life, both personally and in business. And he has had a fascinating life journey. He is a performer as well as a coach and has done some amazing things. He's also participated in my first Superbold Workshop and had a tremendous impact on those people. So, Sanyika, welcome to the show.
It is a pleasure to be here, Senor Fred. It is a pleasure to be here and having a conversation about what it really means to be super bold and how you can go all in on being super bold. And one of the interesting things about that when you brought it up, and I'll just start off at the top, is that along with being a performance coach and a business coach, I am also a performer. So it's interesting, you know, as an artist and as a storyteller, it's interesting when I hear that as the backdrop of who I am. So even in this moment, it's still like, oh yeah, I do that too. Powerful stuff.
And it takes a certain amount of boldness to perform what you do, which is spoken word, which is you don't have a band, you don't, and you're doing something very intense and concentrated for people in the audience, and it's very impactful because of that. But you're working without a net on that. You're really committing to a very intense communication with people that they're kind of not expecting it. And so I hope people will get a chance to see Sanyika at some point. But let's go back. Let's get some backstory, because you managed to find a way to hit rock bottom in your life before you became this, before you created the pathway to who you are now, which is quite the transformation. So tell us about how deep life got in the tragic sense for you.
It got pretty deep, and I would definitely agree that it's been quite the transformation. I was literally just telling someone today, at 42, I'll be 43 in November, I've actually been able to create a life that works. In every aspect of my health, my wealth, my relationships, my sense of personal fulfillment, I've been able to create a life that works. And no qualifier, nothing at the end. It's not, and yeah, of course there's can be, no. Look, I've been able to create a life that works. I've been able to create a life that works. And the transformation that you speak of is that creating a life that works came from a life that did not work. I used to be as a self-described rock bottom sandwich. I called it a rock bottom sandwich because I was already at rock bottom, and then rock bottom smashed on top of me. It was like an Oreo cookie, and that was the filling. I describe it the exact same way every single time because that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like two slabs of concrete, human in the middle, let's eat lunch. And life was eating me alive. I was financially broke. I was emotionally broken, 2 DUIs, girlfriend paying the bills, 40 pounds overweight. I was working at a reverse phone lookup company making $11 an hour, talking to old women who were coming to the platform trying to find the guy that took them for all their money on a dating website. And during that period of time, I'm driving a 92 BMW 325i. And I was grateful for the money that my sister gave me to get that car. However, that car was so old, and I'm so big, I'm 6'8", and I'm in that car, and I would drive it to a location and park it so far away, I might as well have just walked. So that was the life that I was living. I was hiding, you know. And those things that I just described, those were results. The descriptions of the things that I provided were results. There was something else that was driving the show. And the thing that was driving the show is the converse, or the opposite, or the opposing aspect of what I talked about initially about having a life that works, is that I had a life that did not work and I was afraid to admit it wasn't working. So I was doing everything in my human capability to pretend and protect and hold my sword and no, everything is good. No, everything is totally fine. My life is totally fine. I'm good. I'm totally good. In the most subtle way that I was doing that is with a 3-word phrase that I experienced from many men and many people. It's a very subtle 3-word phrase that feels or seems empowering, but is actually the root of devastation. I got it. No, I got it. I got it. I got it. I had, Fred, I didn't have it for 35 years. I didn't got it. I didn't got it ever. I didn't, there's no way I got it. But I could say that to myself and I got it. Yeah, I got it. I totally got it. No, you don't. No, you don't. You need help. And that's when I got community. That's when I got coaching. That's when I got support. I did not have it. And I didn't want to admit it to myself because to me, it meant that I was broken. And I wanted to do everything I could to make myself feel like I wasn't broken. And here's my offering to myself, my previous self, and anybody else who may be listening to this, is that just because you have something in your life that is not working does not mean that you are broken. It just means that it's not working.
Yeah.
And so we get to look at what's not working objectively once we separate from the idea that it not working means that you are broken. And all that means is that it's just not working. And that we get to step into creating a life that works. But the very first thing you got to do is you got to admit that it ain't working.
Yeah. And I can certainly see times in my life like that, and I can certainly see areas in my life that are not working yet. But I'm getting help. I'm not deluding myself into thinking I got it. I'm firing on all cylinders. I got a couple of dead spark plugs, and right now that need cleaning or replacing to carry the automotive analogy on. But we got into a story earlier that because I want to talk about boldness, and you integrate so much of what you do is helping men to really find the boldness to chase their dreams and create a life. And it takes real boldness to say, I don't have my shit together. I don't have anything working. You said something really interesting, which I want to get to, because you're writing a book, and in the intro to the book, you're talking about how you disagree with Mike Tyson. So I want you to explain that disagreement you have with something Mike said.
Yes. So I read you the first part of my book that I'm currently writing, and the name of the book is called, working title at the present moment is called How to Start a Fire. And it's a manual for men to create a life that works, and in every aspect of your life. And the very first line is, I never thought I would start a book by disagreeing with Mike Tyson, but here I am disagreeing with Mike Tyson. There's a quote by the heavyweight boxing champ that says, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. To that quote, I disagree. Everyone does not have a plan until they get punched in the face. Most men don't really have a plan. And that idea is I experience this quite often because the defense mechanisms come on when I have a conversation with someone about, again, creating a life that works or a business that works or any of those other components, is that the defense mechanism comes on. It's like, of course. And listen, I understand where it comes from. I've spent a considerable amount of my time pretending to myself that I was living a life that worked.
That you had a plan, right?
What was that?
that you had a plan. You were pretending that you had a plan.
Pretending like I had a plan. And so there's a distinction that I make in the book. There's a distinction that I make between having a plan and having a real plan.
Yeah.
And you can have a plan, right? But a plan is how we move through life when we are adopting ideas and we're just moving and we're looking and we're making it up as we go, which is what many of us end up doing. A real plan comes after you get punched in the face. The real plan emerges after you hit rock bottom. The real plan emerges after what some men go through and they cheat on their wife and they destroy their entire family. The real plan comes after you pretend like you have it all together in your business and you just watch it crumble. And you just see the bricks and the pebbles coming off the building and it's like, oh shit, this thing is crumbling. Nothing is working. Those are the moments that you put together the real plan. And so what many people end up is they end up being buried by the rubble. They end up being cast out after they leave their family, and they live in exile because they didn't have the courage to step in and to create a real plan. And my invitation is that that's when your life really begins. That's when you start making a life that works. You need struggle. You need to suffer. You need it. And many of us are trying to avoid it. We're trying to avoid the struggle and the suffering. And I understand there's a lot of distinctions around suffering. I carry one myself. But one of the most important things is that you need to suffer until you realize that you do not need to suffer. You need to struggle until you need to realize that you do not need to struggle. But you need to struggle and you need to suffer until you realize that those are optional. And then when you step into, you know what? What's going to get me out of this struggle? What's going to get me out of this suffering? Making a bold choice. Saying, yo, I'm tired of this. It's not even asking for help. It's like, yo, I'm tired of this. I'm done. I'm done settling for this life that I currently have. I'm done pretending like I'm lying to my wife that I'm happy in our relationship. I'm done. I'm done. I am done. I'm done looking in the fridge, getting the wrong food, sitting like I'm done with this eating cycle. I'm done punishing myself. I am done self-perpetuating a cycle where I believe that I am broken, and even if I don't say it to myself, by acting like it through all of the things that I am doing to myself. Porn, addiction, avoidance. I can go on. The list goes on. Right? So those are the things that we get to step into and through to create a life that works. Does that resonate? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean that's it, and it takes that introspection, that very difficult introspection, and then the willingness to have somebody talk to you and reflect on what you're really doing or really not doing or not admitting. The thing I've enjoyed about you with all of the coaching that we've done, because some of it is very much about my business life and other parts are very much about my personal life and the choices I made and the patterns that are created and the things I'm perpetuating. And any good coach is not sugarcoating it, but you always say, can I offer you an insight? Can I offer you some advice? Can I offer you an observation? Very seldom do you actually say advice, which is an interesting thing that I've noted, because that suddenly I'm in a position where I have to say, do I want to receive or not? And why am I not wanting to receive? Because then that becomes something we need to talk about. But when I say yes, now I can just listen and reflect on it, and it's not about me being broken. It's about I'm doing something that's not working, and all I have to do is say, I see the damage it's doing because it's not working, and I can just stop the damage. I can, as you say, I can just start eating right. I can be honest in my relationships. I can acknowledge that something's challenging about my business model, and I can't keep doing the same thing, hoping that the marketplace is going to adapt to me. All of those things are about saying, I'm not the problem is not me. A lot of people going to say, "Oh, the problem is me." No, the problem is something you're doing or not doing, or you're or not changing. You know, if you want, it always comes down to, if you want different results, probably have to do something different. And people like, no, I want better results, but I don't want to change what I'm doing. I want to lose weight, but I want to keep eating this way because I like eating this way. Well, guess what? You know, it's an analogy for all sorts of things. I love all of that. Now let's go in a different direction here, because you got married a little over a year ago, I think it was.
Yeah. Which you were at, and you were at a baby shower that turned into a wedding.
It was a trick wedding, basically. It was he invited a whole bunch of people to a baby shower, including a bunch of guys who said, What? I don't. Are you going to this baby? Are you going to Sanyika's baby shower? It's like, do men go to baby showers? What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to bring? Are they going to make us play weird games and stuff like that? And you sprung on us, you and Katie, we got a little surprise for you. We're actually going to get married right here and now. And it was, I mean, everybody just burst into tears and laughter at the same time. It's like, you got us good here. And it was just the most wonderful thing to be at. And because I think almost your entire family didn't know. And they were all there, and which was well executed. But Katie has brought a son into the family, Elijah, who is now your son as well. And you were talking about, we got onto the topic of, what we're willing to do to get something. We're going to do whatever it takes to get something. And you used his whole mission to get a bird as an example. So tell that story.
For sure. I will tell that story, and I want to speak to a couple of things that are really important, just that you brought up. I wanted to circle back on it, if that's okay.
Sure.
One thing was about advice. And I tell people, that I work with in a coaching capacity, that I don't give advice, and my intention is not to be right. I have no stake in being right. The idea is, if we can create a space where you feel safe to share through me practicing consent, and then consent being a collaborative activity. And at the foundation of all of our human existence, every beautiful experience that happens with humans comes through collaboration. That is our superpower. And so if we were being attacked given the fact that human beings are predators, the question, many times becomes that, if we're being attacked by a bear, how would we defend ourselves if we're predators? The way that we would defend ourselves is because of the fact that we are collaborative animals, we're pack animals. So we would literally outnumber the bear. That's the only way we would win in a fight with a bear, right? So we are at a core. Our superpower is collaboration. But here's what highly triggered emotional moments does. It creates separation. It creates separation. It makes us feel isolated. It makes us retreat. And so a highly triggered emotional moment, given example, Elijah on his birthday. So I am Elijah. Elijah is my bonus son. Met him when he was 7, when I met Katie. He has a father who is active in his life. And all of us agreed that on his birthday, which was July 12th, that we were not going to get him a bird. And, he's 11. And so the idea was like, okay, well, I want to get a bird. And I was like, look, getting you a bird is going to be more trouble for us, because we're going to have that bird talking and all types of stuff as a budgie or whatever. So, he wanted to get a bird, and we were like, look, none of us feel comfortable getting you a bird. And so he was really sad about that decision. And on his birthday, he was like, "Oh my goodness, he's like, I'm so sorry. I promise I'll clean my room." And he is doing everything he can in his power to get that bird. And he's like, "I will clean my room. I will do your taxes. I will become a ninja." I was like, "Dude, when did you go to ninja school? Like, when did you go to ninja? You ain't never been to ninja school, and all of a sudden you're going to become a ninja." I mean, I'm not saying he said he was going to be a ninja, but these are the types of things that he was saying. And at the conclusion of it, he goes, I'll do anything. And I'm listening to him. I'm holding space for him. I'm on one knee. I'm holding his hand. I'm moving with him as he moves through his emotional process, as we have been trained. And the idea is like, as soon as he, he's moving through his emotional process, and as soon as he says, I'll do anything, I said, no, you will not. No, you will not. You will not do anything. There are people that will give everything to just satiate an immediate need, because it soothes the animal, because it soothes the beast, because it makes you believe that you are getting the thing that is going to move you forward. And I said, you will not beg and grovel and compromise yourself in moments where you do not receive the thing that you say that you want to satiate the beast. This is a practice that you need to be in. And there are too many of us that will compromise everything to simply satiate the animal, to soothe the animal. Is that if we are so gifted and so exquisite and so amazing as human beings, with all of this intellectual gobbledygook that half of these people espouse and they spout because they just want to sound smart, but then when they really come face to face with not getting what they want, they crumble. And my intention is, I told him, he wants to make it to the NFL. I said, I don't have any stake whether or not you make it to the NFL. It is not on my radar whether or not you make it to the NFL. I want you to live a life that works. I want you to live a life where you can look at yourself in the mirror and know that you didn't compromise yourself and you didn't have to bend over backwards to get something that you wanted for a moment when you just threw away the rest of your life. And there are too many people out here that are willing to throw away everything just to satiate the animal. And I understand that it's a hard life, transitioning out of talking about Elijah, and now I'm talking about you, because I understand how hard it can be to live life. While I may not have experienced all of the different experiences that everybody else experiences, the reality is that many of us have gone through hard circumstances. I don't pit my hard circumstances versus yours. We've just all gone through our own experience of what hard means. And the thing is that in those hard moments, sometimes we feel like ourselves are up against the thing that we would do to just satiate the beast. It's like you're running out of money. You go, oh yeah, I would do anything. I would rob the bank, or I would compromise myself. I'm in a really tight situation in my relationship. I would cheat, or I'm in a tight situation in my health or whatever. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go binge or whatever. And my offering in that moment is that is the moment you create a life that works. It is the moment where you self-soothe. It is what babies do at night when you are teaching them how to sleep. When you self-soothe, when you are able to satiate the animal, because that's the moment that you need. That's the moment. That is your divine curriculum. That is the thing that is being taught to you, is that these moments of compromise have been patterns in your life. This is not the first time. This is not the only experience where where you've come up against yourself and you've needed to self-soothe and you have chosen to go against it and to compromise and compromise and compromise. And then all of a sudden you realize you don't trust yourself. No one trusts you, and you don't believe in yourself to be able to accomplish the things that you really want to accomplish in your life, and you're trying to figure out why the hell that's the case. It's because every time you come up against yourself, you choose to fight you. My offering in this moment is that I am proof of what happens when you don't believe in yourself. I am proof of what happens when you fight yourself. I am proof of what happens when you lose every drop of faith in yourself. There's a quote by Les Brown. He says, sometimes you need to believe in somebody else's belief in you before your belief is strong enough to kick in. And I am also letting you know that even in this moment, the dark moment where some of you may have a proverbial form of addiction or something like that, where you are literally up against it as you are listening to this podcast, I just want to let you know that I understand where you are at and I believe in you. And just let that land for a second. I believe in you in this moment. Is that I believe in you in this moment. And I understand life is hard. And I get it. But this is the moment that you will no longer compromise. This is the moment that you will no longer satiate the beast for the instant. This is the moment that you transition to becoming the person that you have always desired to be. That's the power of a moment. You never signed a contract saying that you had to be the man or woman that you were yesterday. So this is the moment that you sign an agreement with your future.
Serious, yeah. Because one of the things that I learned is that change doesn't actually happen gradually. It changes the moment you decide to change. Mm-hmm. It's like, whether it's like quitting smoking. Quitting smoking happens when you say, I have a newborn. I can't smoke anymore. I can't smoke in this kid's face. And he needs his dad. And I stop smoking. And it ends right then. It's not like, I'm going to go down to 9 cigarettes a day and then 7 and then 3 and then maybe back up to 7 and then back down. And eventually I'm going to stop. Yeah. Change happens when you are done with that behavior because it's not serving you. It is something that has to stop, and it doesn't own you anymore because you just decided.
I just want to offer this to that point. You said this. It changed when you decide to stop smoking. When you again from the place of consent. It's like, I know that I could stop. I know that I could continue, but I'm choosing to stop. Sometimes that feeling, Fred, of like when people are up against it, it's because there has been a constant the finger wagging, right? And then sometimes we take the finger wagging that other people were doing and when we use it against ourselves. You know you're supposed to stop doing this. You know you're supposed to stop doing this. My offering is that you're not supposed to stop. You're not supposed to stop doing heroin. Heroin is producing a result. Doing meth is producing a result. Drowning in your business is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. It's giving you exactly what you have desired until you realize that there's another possibility. But the heroin, if you go to a heroin user, Fred, like you go to somebody who's using heroin, you go, oh, you know what? You're supposed to stop. They'll be like, why would I supposed to stop? It feels great. It's like,
yeah, feels better than anything else I do. Yeah, so.
Yeah, it feels great. So, but the idea is like, okay, you know what? I can stop. And so for a lot of the people who may be in a like for instance, like a dental practice or the business, it's like if your culture is not working, if the environment is not working, if everything is not working, and some people just go, oh, you know what? We normalize situations. We make it normal so that we can be sane. And then you go, hold up, well, there's a new possibility. So that's the invitation is if there's a new possibility, choosing into the new possibility.
So what is the all-in concept that you put out there? Because it is the core of what you espouse. What does that really mean for people?
Oh, thank you for asking that. I have been exploring what that means ever since I came up with it. I came up with it first, and then I figured it out afterwards. To me, initially, it was just like being fully committed. But then there's something about commitment that really came through. It's like, oh, well, I used to think that commitment was a promise. So it was like, oh, I'm promising to you, Fred, that I'm going to do this thing. I'm making a commitment to you. And that's what I only thought commitment was. I promise you I'm going to do this as a promise. But then I realized that commitment was also outcome-based as well. What I have is what I am committed to. what I have is what I am committed to. So when I was driving a 92 BMW 325i, I was committed to it. When I was drowning in my life, I was committed to it. When I had a life that wasn't working, I was committed to it. Oh yeah, well that's what I'm committed to. That's the life that's not working. That's the life I'm committed to until I am committed to something else. And so the pathway to it, honesty, right? And identifying what I really want. So the in all in is integrity, and the all is alignment. Alignment and integrity. Those are the two aspects of any high-performing individual and organization. And it's really hard to keep your word, honor your word, integrity, if you're out of alignment. If you're not really living into the space of what it is that you want. And some of y'all have businesses that you hate. Some of you have relationships that you hate. And it's not that you need to exit the relationship, it's that you need to create a relationship that works. It's that you need to create a business that works. And the confrontation means reconstructing the current what's unworkability in an environment to create workability. Because that's the real fear. So the idea of going all in, and to do that, to be all in, to go into all in, is I need to accept radical responsibility for my life. I need to stop deferring and say, I need to become the CEO of not only my business, but my life. I have to take radical responsibility for the fact that I am the creator of my experience on this planet. And if there's anyone who's going to be able to do it, then it starts with me. But when it starts with me, it does not end with me. Again, our greatest superpower is collaboration. So if it can start with me, it will start with me. It isn't all about me, but it starts with me. And then I get to move in a space where I am creating a vision for my life that pulls me forward. So one of the powerful things that you mentioned about in our coaching relationship about feedback and offerings of insight is feedback is relative. It's only relative to where you're going. If I go to somebody I use heroin as an example, but it's like if I go to somebody who's using drugs or has an addiction issue or anything like that, and I tell them, you shouldn't be using drugs. We're like, why? The reason why is because their vision for the future is not necessarily pulling them forward. And in many of us, the reason that we get, again, highly triggered emotional state in that moment when I'm talking to Elijah, in that moment where the addiction is online, that moment where the beast needs to be satiated, is that we isolate ourselves. Is that we think, and because we're isolating ourselves from the vision of the world that we want to create. And many of us don't have a vision that's pulling us forward. So you can't go all in on life if you don't have something that's pulling you forward. And one of the things that I experience, especially with men who are in relationship, is that the leader of the family, the CEO of the family, I'm the CEO of my family. And as the leader of my family, as the guy who is leading the family, there's a lot of common misconceptions about what being a leader actually is. Let me explain to you definitively what the leader actually is. The leader is not the dictator. The leader is not the one who yields his power or influence. The leader is not the yeller. The leader is not the one who, many guys think that because they are paying the bills that they are the leader. I'm like, none of those things. The leader is the holder of the vision. The CEO of a company is the leader, and the leader is the holder of the vision. They are operating in service of the vision. That is what I am operating in relation to. I am accountable to the vision. I am accountable to the vision, a vision that serves the whole, a vision that serves the health, the wealth, the relationship, my personal fulfillment, all of those different things. And when I talk about a vision that serves the whole, I am included in the whole. So when I am talking about being a CEO, going all in, that is what it means. It is about being the holder of the vision. And many people don't have a compelling enough vision. They're just living as the animal. They're just living as the one who just needs to satiate its needs on a moment by moment basis. And I understand it. And this is your invitation to create a powerful vision for yourself that pulls you forward so you can be in that space and be a leader in your own life.
Yeah, and it's interesting that I think about all in as well as it is understanding I am all in on collaborating rather than all out. It's like I'm bailing completely. I'm stepping out of any sort of collaboration because that's really what it is. And take a marriage, for example. You say, wow, this is a really challenging time. I've made a lot of mistakes in this marriage. I think I'm going to get out, instead of saying, no, maybe I chose this person for a reason. Why don't I go all in on being the man I want to be? What is the vision of the man I want to be? You know, the guy who is doing meth, it doesn't have the vision of being the father he wants to be and the husband he wants to be. He's satisfying that thing in the moment, and ignoring the vision, or he doesn't even have the vision. He's letting that thing take him, and he's not committed to a vision, because if he were, he would just stop. He would say, I'm destroying my family as well as myself. And my vision of myself is to be the best dad and the best husband I can be. But my family is what matters. Or he could be destroying his business. He could be a single guy who's destroying his business because he's indulging in cocaine and meth and stuff like that, and he's let the money that he's been getting allow him to ignore that vision. And it's interesting how without a vision, you can be as short term as the next 15 minutes in your life. But when you have a vision, you can see as far as you need to in the future to say, what I do in the next 15 minutes is going to aggregate towards my vision. Or move us together closer to it. And then just, it's such a big question to say, who do I need to help me? Who is it that I can turn to? Maybe it is my spouse. Maybe it is my coach. Maybe it's my brother or my sister or my dad, or my son. It's like, son, how am I not? Why am I making you uncomfortable? What am I doing to make you feel like I'm telling you what to do all the time? And let the kid tell you. I mean, it's just that vulnerability to say, I am here to repair myself.
Boom. I wanted to speak to this. You said about the kid, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned about like going to your kid. So I want to deconstruct what collaboration is. Every human pursuit is a collaboration. Consent is a collaboration. Agreement is collaboration. Trust is collaboration. If there was no one else, why would I need trust? If I was by myself, if I was isolated, right? Renegotiation in a marriage, right? Hey, we made this agreement. It's not working. We need to renegotiate some things. That's collaboration, right? So there's all these different components associated with, all of them are collaborative activities. And when I think about my values, values are what keep you in alignment as you move towards your vision. They're the guardrails. They're the things that keep you in alignment as you move towards the vision. And one of the things that I used to realize is that all my values used to be like integrity, consistency, commitment, all those different things. And I think, what about collaboration? All of the things, I don't even need money if there's no collaboration. Right? Who am I paying? Right? There's every interaction. I can't escape collaboration. So what I do is I manufacture separation to protect myself, to prevent myself from feeling whatever it is that I am feeling, because I don't want to explore what collaboration looks like because I feel unsafe. So that becomes the response mechanism quite often I experience from people. So one of the things you said about the son situation, I'm the youngest of four. I am the youngest of four. I'm the baby. I believe that God punished everybody else because he made me bigger than everybody else, but my brothers and my sister. But the two strongest voices in my home were my sister and my mom. Two strongest voices in my house. 2 years ago, my oldest brother came to me knowing that I've transformed my life and gone through it. And we had a conversation about this. I actually asked him about this before I went on stage when I was in Arizona. I was like, can I share our story? Because I think a lot of people need to hear it. He came to me and he was like, I need your help. He's 50 years old. This is my big brother. I've grown up to him. He said, I need your help because I'm not where I want to be. I'm not living a life that works. And the most important thing is that he just needed a place to share. He had been holding on to whatever he had been holding on to. And I know his journey in life and everything for 50 years. Seeing how it's impacted his life, seeing how whatever it's created or not created, the sadness, the disappointment, all those things. And in that moment, he just needed a place to share. Not to build, just to share. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, the very first thing I thought to myself, I was like, why would he come to me? Me. I'm his little baby brother, And then I go, oh, I know exactly why he would come to me. Because I understand the fact of what it means for it to be in collaboration and to create a safe space for him to share. And so I made it not about me. I made it about creating a space for him to share and created a space for him to share. And from that point to this point in his life, he has completely transformed his life. If there was any case study on the power of coaching, it is the transformation that my brother has made in his life. It's quite astonishing to just see what happens when people feel safe to speak their truth and to come to the realization that something may not be working, that I am not broken, and that I want to create a powerful vision for my life. Like, that is one of the greatest experiences that I will always remember. And that is what drives me to continue to go all in every day.
And I can see the power of not reacting the way most people would when somebody comes to you and says, my life isn't working. I'm not where I wanted to be. It's like, well, here comes my advice. And that's the reflex people have. It's like, oh, he's come to me for advice, for wisdom. I will explain, as if our lives are working so perfectly that we can do it. I recently had a friend who was giving me relationship advice, and she's like, why would you date this type of person? And I just said, I'm sorry. Is there any example in your life of relationships working? Because I'm not ready to adopt your advice on this particular thing. But to be able to say instead, well, what is your vision of where you wanted to be? To just ask that and let him describe it. To withhold your unsolicited advice, because they didn't come to you for advice. They came to you to share. So it's like I got to speak openly about this thing which I have not been able to say out loud. People change themselves. We don't change them. We don't teach them. They learn or they don't learn. But we're not jamming anything into them to make their life work. It's all the choices they're willing to make or unwilling to make. And I realize Agreed. We've gotten pretty heavy here in this conversation, but I want people to see that this is the value of somebody like you in my life, that we should all have. I work a lot with Fortune Management, and they are coaching dentists on how to have an extraordinary business and an extraordinary life. And so much of it is they talk about, it's like, well, what's your vision I could have a vision for your practice. It's got nothing to do with anything. I could say you should have 5 practices within the next 10 years. It's like, that's my vision for your business. Go do it. Or you could tell me what your vision is, or you could say, I really don't have a vision. And you say, great, let's try to figure that out.
That's another point of admission. Plan or no plan. Hey, I don't have a plan.
Yeah. I'm getting punched in the face and I have no plan.
Yeah, I have no plan. I don't know. I have no plan. It's okay. It's okay that you don't have a plan. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. So yes, without question. And just for the record, I just want to let people, I was just telling somebody this. I got 2 coaches.
Yeah.
You have had you for as long as you have been alive. And the idea, I'm like, look, I'm moving through lifetimes at the speed of light. And I was like, I have a vision of where I'm looking to go, and I really need some help and some support to be able to do it. And so I need your help, And I've very much asked for help from individuals who I thought were capable, and it is light speed. So.
Well, and see, I benefit from that because for the price of one, I get 3 coaches because I get everything that they coach you on, and it comes through you. So I get you and them. So but every time I talk to you, you have another dimension that you've added to your coaching. You have another insight, another thought process, another technique or exercise for us to go through, a thought exercise. So I can feel you expanding your abilities as I'm receiving it. So it's just like, why would you have an investment advisor who was not wealthy? Just because plenty of people have investment advice, but are they consistently successful and making a lot of money doing it? That's who I want to talk to. That's who I want. And if somebody said to me, and there's been periods of my life where I did not have coaching, more of it than I did. And that was probably one of the poorest decisions I made, and I was really just unaware of how important it was. But it's been transformational for me, but again, the more coaching you get, the farther you see how far you can get, because like the vision expands and the dreams get larger, instead of just I figured out how to get there. I'm gonna get there, and that'll be exciting. There's the farther you get out, the deeper the ocean is. It's that concept there. But one of the last things I want to talk about is one of the most powerful things that you taught me and I've applied it so much. And it really applies to business and personal life. And it is to never undervalue myself. And it came up in a couple of situations where I was, presenting my consulting business to somebody, and I was thinking about I could do it for $5,000, and you just said, well, who else could do this? Is there anybody else that knows what you know that could help them in this way? And I said, well, no, I don't think so. And they said, and you said, well, why not 25,000? If there's nobody else that can do this, you're not selling yourself by the hour. You are the only person who can help them. This will either make them millions or save them millions, or both. And so I said 25,000, and they said yes. And I went, crap, I should have said 35,000. But that was but it's the same thing in a relationship. How many people walk into, are looking for a long-term relationship, and they're undervaluing themselves. I am not worthy of this person or that person. I am only worthy of this person. They're undervaluing themselves. And it's, and I'm sure I've done that in my own life at various times. It's such an amazing, all-encompassing shift when you start to think about things that way. Like, why am I undervaluing myself in this situation? And you've helped my brother with this same thought process, and it's a 360 shift. It hits every angle of your life when you start to say, when you ask the question. Again, so much of life comes down to asking powerful questions of yourself. So thank you for that, certainly, and the impact that's had on my life, and the impact you've had on my life. And so I think the message here for everyone is, if you don't have a coach, why? And and if you're feeling like you're broken, just realize you're just doing stuff that's not working. And the first step is to say, what are those things and why am I doing them? And why don't I stop? So any final thoughts you want to impart or express?
Well, first of all, I am grateful for our relationship. It has been transformative for me to experience your wisdom and your love and your gifts. It's been really, really transformative for me. I feel like I learn from you every time we have a conversation. So I'm grateful to experience you and to have you in my universe as in every aspect of my universe. And I'm grateful that you were at my wedding, hanging out with me and my family until until the night went on. So I'm very, very grateful for that. The one moment that I really wanted to speak to is the moment that the emergence of the Superbold Workshop, and what came out of that for me was in that conversation around what Superbold really can be for people as a vehicle to transform someone's life. And then when I got a chance to experience it, when I went to the workshop in LA, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is really fantastic. And having a super bold life, living a life by making bold decisions, one of the things you said about undervaluing yourself in the context of a relationship, one of the easiest ways we undervalue ourselves is by feeling that we're not worthy enough to speak our desires, what we really want. And that's when we feel like, oh, this isn't a good relationship for me because I can't ask for what I really want. Because I feel like if I ask for what I really want, I'm not going to get it. And so I just need to go somewhere else to get it because, and this keeps on. And that's every relationship. It's not just an intimate partnership. It's about, your business relationship. I can't get the raise. I can't get the thing. I can't get the money, whatever. And being super bold is like, hold up. Well, what do I need to do to make this bold choice? And I've been making, and I've realized even in my own life, I was like, I need to make some more audacious asks, some more audacious requests, to make some more powerful, stands. And so I was like, after I helped to facilitate the Super Bowl, I was like, oh, this is bigger things I get to be stepping into in this moment. So I wanted to say thank you for that because, Superbold has helped me to realize the importance of audacity, of being audacious and making and stepping outside of yourself to create a new possibility that you never would have thought existed before, ever. So thank you for that as well.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all of these time and insights. And you can find Sanyika. What's the domain name you want people to go to? Is it the All In?
Yeah, the All In CEO.
The allinceo.com, right?
Yeah, go to the All In CEO. Shoot me a message. I'm
Yeah.
around. Unless I'm not.
Yeah. So everyone out there, thank you for listening. I hope you found this valuable and inspiring. And do all that stuff that people ask you to do for podcasts. Subscribe, follow, share, do all that stuff. And most of all, commit to a vision in your life and boldly pursue it.